at the Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles at the Splatoon Mess Fest to celebrate the upcoming launch of Splatoon exclusively for Wii U on May 29th.
It's official. The online servers for the Wii U and 3DS have been shut down. And while this obviously affects a lot of great games, I think the one most affected also happens to be possibly the best game on the Wii U. Splatoon may have been released towards the end of the Wii U's life, but playing this game was some of the most enjoyable hours of entertainment I ever had with this system. This game was a breath of fresh air for Nintendo at a time when they needed it most. It was this entirely new direction, with a massive amount of new ideas and unique gameplay mechanics. It had this exciting, defiant energy that felt unlike anything else the company had done before. They somehow found a way to turn the online shooter genre into a bright and colorful experience that didn't focus only on kill counts or strict objectives. Your weapons and movements are connected together flawlessly, so both shooting and moving feel natural and intuitive. But it's really this game's unique identity that made it so appealing to me. After just a few minutes of playing the global test fire, I knew I had to get this game, and it became my go-to video game for a long while after that. This game is pretty important to me, not only what it is by itself, but also what it represents overall, both for Nintendo as a company and for me personally. Splatoon felt like a turning point. Where Wii Sports was the game that introduced me to Nintendo, this was the game that really turned me into a diehard fan. Around the time I was enjoying Splatoon was when I started following every single piece of Nintendo news and consuming an absurd amount of NX rumor videos. And I feel like Splatoon's focus on online play is what pushed me into the community more than ever before. Most of my time playing video games was spent in single-player games, which means I rarely thought about Nintendo as a larger community where people could share their common interests. They were just the copyright name on the title screen of Wii Sports Resort. The first Splatoon is what really catapulted me into the Nintendo space more than ever before, and I've been obsessed ever since. Fun fact, the first YouTube script I ever wrote was for a review of this game. I never actually ended up making it as I quickly realized I had no way of recording my voice or capturing gameplay. Turns out using an iPod Touch to film a TV doesn't look very good. But this was still the first time I started to think about games all the time outside of when I was playing them. Then there's what this game represents for Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo wouldn't have taken such a big risk with a new IP like this if they weren't in the tough spot they were in. And it was the first time in a while when they took a big swing and actually nailed it. Splatoon ended up turning into a massively successful new franchise for the company, but to me it also felt like a shift in energy. Splatoon feels like the series that connects the Wii U and the Switch together to me, like a sort of bridge between the two generations of Nintendo. It was also the last Nintendo game released before the passing of Satoru Iwata, so his legacy feels even more intertwined with this game than usual. Splatoon's quick and impressive rise to success feels somewhat representative of this modern era of Nintendo as a whole, and it's a pretty important release in retrospect. The fact that one of Nintendo's most recognizable and valued IPs was created so recently is very unusual. I recognize that not everyone feels this strongly about Splatoon. I'm sure for a lot of people it was just a simple and fun shooter that filled out the Wii U library in 2015. But I also know that for a lot of us, it's so much more than that. I've always felt a special connection to this series that nothing else matches, and I think it's because I was able to play and enjoy its very first entry when it was still brand new and fresh. I can't really think of another video game series where it feels like I've been on the hype train since the very start. While everyone was freaking out about the small glimpse of the next 3D Mario game in the Switch reveal trailer, I was wondering how no one was talking about how this inkling in the next Splatoon game was wearing gloves. I mean, this is a big deal. Does this mean gloves are a new category of clothing? What else can you customize? Is this going to be an upgraded port or a full new entry? Splatoon has been a constant in my life since I first played the original, and while I might go a few months without picking it up here and there, I always come back sooner or later. It's no secret that I'm a fan of the Wii U. This sad little failure of a console holds a special place in my gamer heart, and Splatoon is a big part of that. Owning a Wii U felt just a little bit cooler once Splatoon came out, even if I was just telling myself that. Yeah, the Wii can play Mario Kart and Zelda and Donkey Kong and Pikmin, but if you wanted to play Splatoon, you'd have to join the 10 million of us who were lame enough to buy one of these things. It felt like one of the biggest things you could point to and prove the Wii U had some small amount of worth, and we all know this console needed that badly. I may not be able to play The Witcher 3, but have you heard the Calamari Inkantation? Because that song goes hard. Selling almost 5 million units this late into the Wii U's life is pretty impressive, and I think it shows how badly people wanted something new and exciting. Splatoon's gameplay isn't inherently tied to the gamepad like something like Nintendo Land is, but it still made pretty good use of it. Motion control aiming has been at the center of the series since the beginning, and being able to play retro minigames while you wait to get enough players for a match is genius. What other online game has me annoyed that the match is starting because I was getting really into Squid Jump? While the map system was pretty easily replaced by a simple button input, it's still a cool novelty to be able to check the map by looking down quickly, even if it's a little less efficient. Now this game is by no means perfect. 2 and 3 improved on this formula in basically every way possible, and are simply just the better experience, even with their quirks. I mean, the specials in this game are super unbalanced and spammable, but it's cool to see where it all started, and the fact that such a huge part of what makes this game so great is now inaccessible is pretty sad. If you want to go back and play the first games in the Mario, Zelda, Metroid, or Kirby series, you can do that and get pretty much the same experience as everyone else did back in the day. But with the Splatoon series, it'll never be possible to get the full original experience again. Thankfully, Octo Valley will always be available, but that's only a part of what made this game so fun. And while of course it sucks that online play is gone now, I'm trying to stay positive about it. Splatoon being an online game is at the core of what makes it so special, and even though I wish this would have happened further down the road, the servers were eventually going to shut down whether I liked it or not. The original hub area has been added to Splatoon 3, which while it doesn't recapture the exact same vibes, it's still a nice effort from Nintendo to preserve this game's identity. And there's projects like the Pretendo network that will hopefully keep the original Splatoon alive for just a bit longer. All 3 Splatoon games have their own distinct vibe and identity, and it's unfortunate that one of those will be somewhat inaccessible now. I played online matches constantly in the week leading up to the shutdown, just trying to take it all in and remember what it felt like to play this game online. And hopefully I can preserve just a small amount of that feeling with this video. Alright, it's time for a few hyper-specific memories I have from this game that I want to share because I'm afraid I'll forget them someday. The first few times I used the Ink Strike special, I thought you were supposed to tap the screen to activate it and then it randomly selected a spot on the map to target. So I got annoyed that all of my Ink Strikes somehow ended up on our side of the map. Figuring out you were actually supposed to tap exactly where you wanted it to go was mind-blowing. For some reason I spent like 30 minutes inking every inch of the starting tutorial area, and then just kind of walked around appreciating my hard work for a while. There was a stretch of time when I requested a new piece of clothing from Spike every single day for a few months straight. It was my daily routine to come home after school and buy the one from yesterday and choose a new one to request. After watching all the E3 Treehouse gameplay for Breath of the Wild, thinking about that game consumed my life, and I knew that X would be the jump button for Link, which was also the jump button in Splatoon. So I would practice jumping around the plaza precisely so I would be ready when the new Zelda game came out. If it isn't clear by now, I really love this game. And while the server shutting down really sucks, I want this to be a more positive look back on what this game did and still does mean to me. Who knows when we'll see a new franchise that's as creative, fresh, and exciting as Splatoon is that also ends up being so hugely successful. I think it's safe to say that this is one of Nintendo's most recognizable franchises now, and I'm so glad it found its way into the spotlight like it has. This is where it all began, and I'll miss being able to hop into a few online matches whenever I feel like reminiscing about the past. But everything in this world has to come to an end eventually, and all I can control is how I react to it. I can let it freak me out and try to hang on to every second for just a bit longer, or use it as a reason to try to make the most out of every moment I have. As sad as it is that the original Splatoon is coming to an end, I'm choosing to focus on how many great memories it brought me over the years and the amazing franchise it created that will surely give me even more in the future. So goodbye Splatoon, and thanks for everything.